What's up? I'm Justin. Welcome to Don't Disappoint Your Parents, the show where I try not to disappoint my Asian tiger mom. Let's get cooking. For this first episode, I wanted to make Taiwanese beef noodle soup. We're going to cut up one medium onion. Just a rough chop will do. This is going into a pressure cooker, so any size chunks will pretty much melt away into the broth. Next, we're going to smash a 2-inch piece of ginger. Give it an extra smash if it's particularly stubborn. Do the same smashing to 6 whole cloves of garlic. And finally, roughly dice 3 scallions, discarding only the tips of the roots. Always remember to use the white parts of the scallion, as that is where most of the flavor is concentrated. Place these ingredients into one bowl, as these will be added into the pot at the same time. Next, we're going to cut 1 medium tomato into quarters and chop 4 dried chili peppers in half. Make sure to pick up any leftover seedlings so that we can extract as much flavor as possible. Put the tomato and chilies in one bowl because again, we will be adding them to the soup base together. Finally, we come to the most important part of this dish, the beef. I'm using 2 pounds of a cut called the heel of round, which animalscience.unl.edu will tell you is one of the least tender pieces of meat, but when cooked slowly and properly in a soup or stew, it will melt in your mouth. We're going to slice the beef into manageable chunks. With our meat ready, we are moving over to the stove, where we are boiling 3 cups of water in a wok. In Chinese cooking, we often boil our meat first for about 2 to 3 minutes. This releases any nasty gray gunk. After a layer of gunk has come out, take the beef over to the sink, strain, and rinse with cold water. Set it aside for later. Bring out your favorite pressure cooker or instant pot. Heat 2 tablespoons of olive oil over medium-high heat. Once the oil starts to shimmer, add in the bowl with ginger, garlic, onions, and scallions, and saute until the onions are just slightly translucent. Add the tomato and chili peppers and cook for another 2 minutes. Finally, add the beef in and stir vigorously. Next, add 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of Lao Gan Ma fried bean and chili oil, 2 teaspoons of sugar, half a cup of soy sauce, and half a cup of shaoxin Chinese cooking wine. Stir again to combine and add about 8 cups of water or until all the other ingredients are submerged in about 1.5 inches of water. Finally, add 1 Chinese dry herb packet, a teaspoon of citron peppercorns, and a pinch of star anise. These things are commonly found in Asian supermarkets and are essential to get that slightly medicinal depth of flavor in the soup. Give it one last stir to make sure everyone rubs off on each other in a good way, and cover. Turn the heat up to high and wait for the soup to boil. Of course, everyone's heard of the saying, a watch pot never boils. Well, I decided to put it to a test. After careful scientific observation, I've concluded that a watch pot does not in fact boil. The soup inside does. Once the pressure cooker starts aggressively spitting steam like this, start a timer for 15 minutes. After this initial 15 minutes, turn the heat down to low and let it simmer for another 45 minutes. Perfect time for us to make some noodles. In the bowl of a stand mixer, add 250 grams of bread flour, which will give us a chewier noodle, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Turn the mixer on with the dough hook attached and slowly pour in 120 grams of water. Knead the dough for 5 minutes. If the dough fails to form into a cohesive ball, use your hands to press the dough together until it submits and forms a singular mass. Knead with the dough hook for another 2 minutes, after which we're going to wrap the dough in plastic wrap and set aside for 30 minutes. After resting, give the dough a few good kneads before slicing it in half. Working with 1/2 at a time, we're going to run the dough through a pasta sheeter, decreasing the thickness after each pass. I like my noodles slightly on the thicker side to preserve its chewiness. Make sure you flour rigorously in between each thinning attempt so that the dough does not stick to itself. Finally, run the dough through a fettuccine cutter, toss it in flour again, and place it in a tray in the fridge until ready to be boiled. Once the soup is done simmering, bring it over to a sink. Run the entire pot under cold water for about 20 seconds. This process will condensate the steam built up in the pressure cooker, allowing you to remove the pressure nozzle safely and easily. Return the pressure cooker to the stove and boil for another 10 minutes without the lid. This extra little boil will boost the flavors of the soup immensely. In a separate pot, we're going to boil some water and drop in 3 to 4 stems of choy sum, a close cousin to bok choy. Let the choy sum boil for 2 minutes before taking them out. Add our noodles to the pot, stir aggressively, and cook for no more than 30 seconds before fishing out with your immaculate chopstick skills and into your serving bowls. Now, I know some of you are thinking that the boiling water was contaminated and green, but it's just vegetable water. The noodles came out not green and not veggie-tasting at all. In an artfully skewed shot that was totally on purpose, add a few ladles of broth, a few pieces of beef, the choy sum, and a sprinkle of finely minced scallions and cilantro. And there you have it, a beautiful, steaming bowl of Taiwanese beef noodle soup.
Mother, come. We have for you, or I have for you, Taiwanese beef noodle soup. Please enjoy. Texture's good. Thank you. Hold on. On a scale of aya to how would you rate this dish?
It's almost perfect.